"Reservation for Carter," I murmured, sliding my ID and card across the marble counter. My hand didn't even shake, at least not yet. The manager's eyes flicked from my face to the card, then back again. His lips curled. "Your kind? Doesn't belong in this lounge." For a heartbeat, silence swallowed the lobby. A couple in suits glanced over their shoulders. A man in a golf cap cleared his throat. No one moved. No one spoke. I blinked, my voice catching. "Excuse me?" "You heard me." His tone was flat, almost bored. He pushed my card back with 2 fingers, as though it carried a stain. A woman. Nearby whispered, "Just leave." Another muttered, "Don't make a scene." Their words hit me harder than his. Their silence was permission, dressed up as civility. My chest tightened, and I forced the air out slowly. "This hotel accepted my booking weeks ago." He leaned forward, smirk deepening. "Maybe online, but here we have standards." The sound of laughter, quiet, nervous, spread like cracks across glass. I pressed my nails into my palm until it hurt. "So the standard is humiliation?" "Don't twist my words," he snapped, raising his voice so everyone could hear. "We simply expect a certain clientele." Gasps, shifts in posture, but no one defended me. I swallowed hard, my throat burning. "You see a name, a face, and you decide I don't belong." His shrug was casual cruelty. "That's the policy we uphold." The word policy echoed, sharp and hollow. I heard my own voice tremble, not with weakness, but rage caged tight. "You don't even see me as human," I whispered. He tapped the counter. "Please step aside before I call security." I looked around, faces turning away, eyes refusing to meet mine. I searched for even one ally. Nothing, just silence. My pulse thundered, yet my voice came steady, calm, almost foreign to me. That was the night I decided. My gaze swept the marble lobby, the polished silence, the fragile smirks. Their comfort ends where my dignity begins. I picked up my card, my ID, and my pride. My fingers trembled, but my spine did not bend. The hush that followed was louder than any apology could have been. I slammed the cafe door harder than I meant to, the glass rattling like my chest. My so-called friends were already at a corner table, half smiles plastered on their faces like nothing had happened. "You left me there," I muttered, dropping into the seat. My voice cracked, but I didn't care. Janelle fiddled with her straw. "I didn't want to get involved." I barked a laugh that stung my throat. "Not involved?" "You watched him spit on me with his words." "It wasn't spitting," Marcus mumbled, eyes fixed on his phone. "He just, made a mistake." My palms stung as I slapped the table. "A mistake?" "His smirk wasn't an accident. His policy wasn't an accident." Silence. Then a whisper. "Lower your voice." I leaned forward, my breath shaking. "My dignity was dragged across marble floors, and you're worried about volume?" Janelle winced. "It just didn't feel like my place." I bit down so hard on my tongue it hurt. Your silence screamed louder than his words. Marcus finally looked at me, guilt flickering. I didn't know what to say. Try anything. Try, "She deserves respect." Try, "This is wrong." Instead, you hid behind your lattes and pretended you didn't see me. The room blurred for a second, tears pressing at the corners of my eyes. I blinked them back. I refused to cry for their comfort. "You're overreacting," Janelle whispered, her voice trembling. "He was rude, yes, but racist? That's a big word." "Big enough to choke me in front of a lobby full of cowards," I muttered. Her lips parted, but no sound came. A voice from the next table cut through the weight. "I saw it." I turned. A young woman, a stranger, leaned forward, eyes fierce. "He humiliated you because of who you are. Don't let them gaslight you." My chest caved inward. For the first time all night, I felt air return. Marcus shifted uncomfortably. We're not gaslighting. We just don't want trouble. Trouble already found me, I whispered. My throat burned raw. And you left me to drown in it. The stranger's voice softened. You deserved allies, not cowards. I stared at Marcus and Janelle, their silence now unbearable. My stomach twisted, heavier than when the manager sneered. Betrayal doesn't always shout. It often hides behind lowered eyes. I stood, my chair screeching across the floor. You call yourselves friends, but when the world spat on me, you looked away. That silence will echo longer than his slur. Janelle's eyes filled with tears. Please, no, I snapped, my voice sharp enough to cut glass. You don't get to cry when I'm the one bleeding. I walked out before my legs gave way, before my grief became sobs in their hands. Outside, the night air was thick, damp. My reflection in the cafe window stared back. Eyes red, jaw tight, a woman both cracked and unbroken, anger boiled under my ribs, but so did grief. Their silence hurt worse than the manager's words. He was a stranger. They were supposed to know me. I pressed my palm against the cool glass of the window, whispering to myself, if I stand alone, I still stand. The stranger inside met my eyes through the glass, raising her cup like a silent promise. For a fleeting moment, I wasn't entirely alone. Still, betrayal gnawed at me, hot and endless. And deep down, I knew this was only the beginning. I pushed open the heavy door without knocking. My chest heaved. My fists clenched so hard, the edges of my nails dug into skin. He barely glanced up from his papers. You again? His sigh was laced with contempt. I'm not leaving until you look me in the eye, I snapped, the words tumbling out before I could swallow them. His smirk slid back into place, that same one from the lobby. You people play the victim card too well. My jaw locked. Heat shot through me, boiling over. Victim card? You stripped me of dignity in front of strangers and called it policy. He leaned back, folding his arms. Don't exaggerate. I didn't touch you. I didn't threaten you. I simply enforced standards. I slammed my palm onto his desk, the sound sharp, cutting. Standards that measure skin before service? He didn't flinch. You can phrase it however you want. This is an establishment with a reputation. Not every face fits it. My throat burned. Not every color, you mean. Silence for a beat. His smirk never faltered, but his eyes flickered, betraying truth he refused to say aloud. You never saw me as human, I whispered, voice trembling yet firm enough to sting. His laugh was low, dismissive. Human? Don't be dramatic. I just don't want complaints from paying clients. I stepped closer, each word steady now, like glass cracking in deliberate lines. I am a paying client. My money was good enough online, but not when you saw, my skin. Don't pretend this is about business. This is about hatred wrapped in hospitality. He waved a hand, mock casual. You're free to take your business elsewhere. That's the beauty of choice. My chest tightened. That's the cowardice of prejudice. He scoffed, rolling his eyes. You millennials think everything is oppression. I'm old school. I believe in order, tradition, decorum. Tradition that tramples me isn't decorum, I muttered. My fingers dug into the chair back in front of his desk until my knuckles ached. It's cruelty with a uniform, his voice sharpened, impatience finally cracking through. You should be grateful I didn't have you escorted out. Most managers would have. My stomach twisted. Grateful? For being humiliated in public? For having strangers watch me stripped of dignity while you basked in power? He smirked again, cruel and calm. It was just business. Business built on my degradation, I shot back, my voice cracking but rising. You think your marble floors and chandeliers excuse your contempt. They don't. They just shine a spotlight on it. His eyes narrowed, irritation pulsing. Be careful. Words like these can ruin reputations. I leaned in, close enough to see the smug lines around his mouth. Then let mine ruin yours. His breath caught just for a moment before he forced another chuckle. You're overreacting. No one will believe you. They'll say you're stirring trouble for attention. My nails pressed deeper into my palms. I know that's what you're counting on. Silence, doubt, complicity. My voice shook, not from weakness, but from the rage clawing its way out. But I've lived enough of that silence. I won't carry yours too. He muttered under his breath. Entitled brat. I froze, the words stabbing deeper than I expected. My pulse roared in my ears. I straightened, forcing my voice into steel. Entitled because I ask for basic respect? Entitled because I refuse to shrink when you strip me down? He tried to look bored, but his pen tapped nervously against the desk. You've made your point. Now leave. I shook my head slowly. No, not until you understand. His brow furrowed. I am not your victim. I am not your standard. I am not your reputation to polish or stain. I am human, and the fact that I have to stand here, bleeding in words, to remind you of that. My voice broke, then rebuilt itself stronger. Is your disgrace, not mine. His jaw tightened, lips pressed thin. For the first time, his silence betrayed discomfort. I turned, hand trembling on the doorknob, but my spine straight as steel. This isn't over. Your smirk will be the first thing I burn down. The door slammed behind me, and the echo carried more than sound. It carried promise. The lobby walls still echoed in my mind when the whispers started spreading faster than my heartbeat. I caught fragments near the elevators. She's exaggerating, trying to ruin the hotel, an employee muttered to another. She just wants attention, came the hushed reply. I froze mid-step, my nails biting into my palm. Their voices dropped when they saw me, eyes darting away like guilt carried weight. I turned slowly, words sharp as glass. You think humiliation is a publicity stunt? The taller one stammered. We didn't mean, yes you did. My throat burned. You meant every syllable because it's easier to call me a liar than admit what you witnessed. They lowered their gazes, but silence again became complicity. Later that day, I opened my phone. Headlines blared, Guest disrupts operations at luxury hotel. Anonymous comments cut deeper than knives. She played the race card. She probably caused the scene herself. She should be banned permanently. I slammed the screen, shut, my chest rising unevenly. My truth felt raw, jagged, fragile, while their lies dressed themselves in suits, polished, rehearsed. That evening, I forced myself into a meeting with the hotel's lawyer, called under the guise of resolving matters. His office reeked of smug confidence. He clasped his hands together. Let's keep this simple. The manager followed protocol. You may have misinterpreted tone and intent. My fists trembled against the armrest. Misinterpreted? He told me. I didn't belong. Every ear in that lobby heard it. He offered a thin smile. But none will testify. What we do have are reports of you raising your voice, causing disruption, frightening guests. My breath caught. Frightening? The word twisted like poison. I was the one cornered. I was the one shamed. His voice lowered, smooth, almost coaxing. These things, they disappear faster if you let them. No need to escalate. I leaned forward, my voice raw. Disappear for you. For me, they scar. He sighed, shuffling papers. If you continue, you'll drag your own reputation down with his. I stared at him, heat rising until my hands shook visibly. Their lies sound polished. Mine is raw, but truth burns brighter. He chuckled, dismissive. We'll see how bright when no one stands beside you. I rose, gripping the back of the chair until my knuckles ached. Then I'll stand alone. And when your polished lies crack, remember, it was silence that broke you, not me. His Smirk faltered for a breath, then returned. Good luck with that. I walked out, my pulse hammering, my anger raw. Outside the office, I caught another pair of employees whispering in the hallway. She'll ruin herself. She's up against the hotel. She can't win. I stopped, their words lodging in my chest like stones. For a moment, I nearly let despair drown me. But then I inhaled, slow and steady. Their whispers weren't prophecy. They were chains. And I refused to wear them. I clenched my fist, whispering to myself, if they won't hold me up, I'll burn their silence down. The hallway stretched ahead like a tunnel of echoing doubt, but my steps did not falter. This was no longer just survival. This was war. I sat at the edge of my bed, phone in hand, heart pounding like it wanted out. The lies about me still flooded the internet, each word another stone thrown. For hours I stared at my reflection in the black screen until I whispered to myself, enough. I dialed the number the stranger in the cafe had slipped me. When the line clicked, a calm but steady voice answered. This is Naomi. Who's speaking? My name is Carter. I was humiliated at the Royal Grand Hotel last night. They're trying to bury me with lies. Her pause stretched, then sharpened. I heard whispers about that. I'm with the local justice network. You're not alone. Do you want to fight? My hands trembled, but I forced the word out. Yes. Then meet me tomorrow, she said firmly. And bring your resolve, not just your anger. The call ended, leaving me staring at the silent phone, my pulse wild. The next day, I sat across from her in a cramped office filled with posters that screamed, "Silence is complicity." She looked me over, then leaned in. Tell me everything, every word, every silence. I replayed the lobby, the smirk, the whispers that cut deeper than his slur. When I finished, my voice shook. Their silence still rings in my ears. Naomi's jaw clenched. That silence is their weapon, but we'll turn it into evidence. Before I could reply, another voice cut in, deep, confident, holding a pen poised above a notebook. If you speak, the world will listen. I turned toward him, a journalist. He adjusted his glasses, eyes burning with purpose. My stomach twisted. And if the world laughs? They won't, he murmured. Not if you tell it raw, not if you tell it true. I swallowed hard, gripping the edge of the table. Then I'll make them hear me. Naomi nodded. Good. First step. File. A formal complaint. Don't let them rewrite your story. My chest tightened. They'll smear me harder. Call me unstable, angry, ungrateful. That's what they always do, she replied, her voice low but fierce. And that's how we know it's worth it. The journalist leaned forward. We'll publish your testimony. But you need to be ready. Once it's out there, there's no turning back. I bit my lip until I tasted iron. They've already taken my peace. I have nothing left to lose but silence. He scribbled notes. Quickly, his pen scratching like fire across the page. That's your headline. Naomi placed her hand on mine, steady, grounding. Your dignity isn't gone. It's standing right here, demanding to be heard. For the first time in days, I exhaled without shaking. We worked through the night, drafting words, framing truths. At one point, exhaustion threatened to pull me under, but the journalist's voice kept me awake. Say it as you felt it. Not polished, not polite, raw. So I did. I recited his smirk, their whispers, my vow in the lobby. Every syllable bled from me, but it felt like cleansing. Hours later, Naomi slid the papers back toward me. This is your complaint. This is your story. I stared down at the words, ink that carried my pain and my fight. My chest ached, but it was a different ache now, an ache of release, of defiance. I thought standing alone was strength. I whispered. But standing with others, it feels like a weapon. Naomi's lips curved into the faintest smile. That's because it is. The journalist closed his notebook. Tomorrow, the world hears you. Sleep if you can. War begins at dawn. I stood slowly, legs heavy, but steady. My reflection in the office window didn't look broken anymore. It looked sharpened. As I reached for the door, Naomi called after me. When they push back, don't flinch. Your voice will carry others who can't speak. I turned, my throat raw but firm. Then let it echo until their walls crack. I stepped into the night air, the weight of fear still on my shoulders, but laced now with steel. The street outside was quiet, but inside me something had shifted. This wasn't just my fight anymore, it was my turning point, and I knew the next blow would not come in silence. The boardroom felt colder than the marble lobby had. My palms were damp against the wooden table, but I kept my chin high. Around me, polished shoes tapped, papers rustled, and the weight of rehearsed civility pressed down like a cage. The manager smirked across the table, his tone slick as oil. This is all a misunderstanding. I let the words hang in the air, then released a slow breath. My existence is not your misunderstanding. A couple of board members shifted in their seats, their eyes darting between us. He leaned forward, voice growing sharper. You're twisting this into something it isn't. No one meant harm. Guests misheard, emotions exaggerated. My nails dug into my palm, but my voice stayed calm. I heard every syllable. So did the silence of your staff. Their silence wasn't exaggeration, it was endorsement. One woman cleared her throat. Perhaps we should de-escalate, I cut in, my tone firm but steady. De-escalation is what you call it when you want me quiet. Dignity doesn't de-escalate. It demands. The manager's jaw twitched. You're tarnishing our reputation with baseless claims. I leaned forward, locking eyes with him. Your reputation cracked the moment you told me I didn't belong. I'm not the one breaking it, you are. A man at the far end muttered, Let's not overstate. I turned sharply. Overstate? I was denied humanity in your lobby. Do you want me to whisper it smaller so it fits neatly into your minutes? The room fell silent. Only the ticking clock filled the air. The manager's voice rose, tinged with irritation. You're painting me as a villain for enforcing policy. My throat tightened, but I forced steel into my voice. Policy doesn't sneer. Policy doesn't smirk. Policy doesn't whisper, your kind doesn't belong. That was you. Gasps rippled faintly across the table. One board member murmured, eyes flickering toward me. Did he really say? Yes, I snapped. My voice cracked, but did not falter. And every witness who looked away heard it too. The manager's smirk faltered, but he leaned back quickly, masking it with a laugh. She's exaggerating again, playing for drama. I pushed my chair back, standing slowly, my hands trembling but my spine unbroken. Drama is what you call truth when it threatens your comfort. But comfort ends where my dignity begins. The woman who had tried to de-escalate earlier shifted again. Perhaps we should investigate further, the manager scoffed, trying to regain ground. We don't need to waste resources chasing baseless. Baseless? My voice rose, now sharper than before. You humiliated me in public, you doubled down in private, and now you sit here pretending it's all fiction. Do you know what that makes you? He opened his mouth, but I didn't give him space. A coward hiding behind polished lies. The boardroom went still. His face flushed, his hand tightening, around his pen until it snapped in two. I leaned across the table, my voice dropping low but carrying through the silence. I don't need your permission to exist. I don't need your approval to belong. But you... I pointed at him, my hand trembling with rage. You need my silence to survive, and you will not have it. The room seemed to hold its breath. One board member murmured softly, almost to himself, She's right. The manager's eyes darted toward him, panic flickering for a split second. "Don't be swayed. She's manipulating you." I straightened, swallowing the lump in my throat. Manipulation is pretending cruelty is professionalism. Manipulation is calling hate a misunderstanding. I am not manipulating you. I am telling you what he did, and you can either hide it or face it. The weight of my words pressed into the room, pressing down on every silence that had once betrayed me. The manager's voice cracked this time. "If you push this further, you'll regret it." I met his glare without blinking. "No, you will." The silence that followed was no longer complicity. It was fracture. I turned to the board, my voice soft but firm. "You get to decide if your legacy is silence or truth. I already know mine." I walked out, heart hammering, tears threatening, but resolve solid as stone. Behind me, murmurs rose, some doubtful, some shaken, but for the first time, they weren't all against me. The shift had begun, and I knew his smirk was starting to crack. The boardroom doors opened again the following week, but this time, it wasn't just executives inside. A handful of staff had been called in. My pulse thudded as I stepped forward. I could feel his eyes on me before I even looked, his smirk, stretched thinner now, but still there. He cleared his throat loudly. "Let's not waste time. This farce has already dragged on too long." I leaned against the table, forcing my voice to stay calm. Truth only feels like a farce to the one it exposes. A low murmur spread around the room. He pointed sharply toward me. "She twists words. She exaggerates. She's painting herself as a victim to gain attention." I clenched my fists. Attention? I didn't beg for whispers, for headlines, for strangers questioning my worth. That wasn't attention. It was assault dressed as policy. One of the employees shifted in his seat, glancing nervously between us. His lips parted, then closed again. My heart hammered. The manager pressed forward, voice snapping. "No one can prove I said those words. It's her word against mine." That was when the young man's voice cracked the silence. I heard what he said. It was no mistake. The air snapped taut. All eyes turned. My chest surged with something like relief, sharp, almost painful. The manager's face paled before he forced a laugh. "You're misremembering. You misunderstood." The employee's voice wavered, but he didn't back down. "No. I was standing 3 feet away. I heard every word." Another staff member whispered, barely audible. "So did I." My throat tightened, tears burning at the edges. For days I'd carried silence as a coffin. Now cracks split it open. The manager slammed his palm onto the table, pen rolling to the floor. "You're ruining me!" I stepped forward, my voice low but steady. "No. You ruined yourself when you thought humiliation would protect your power." He turned on the employees, voice breaking. "Do you want to lose your jobs? Do you want to throw away your futures for her?" The first employee's hands trembled, but his reply cut through. "My future isn't worth silence built on lies." The board members exchanged looks, unease rippling across their faces. His smirk was gone, now replaced with a frantic edge. "You think anyone out there cares about this?" he shouted. "Hotels run on reputation. She'll forget. The world will forget. This will fade." I locked eyes with him, my voice calm enough to cut. "No, because every time you call it forgettable, you admit it was real." Gasps circled the room. He stumbled, gripping the edge of the table as though it could anchor him. "This is sabotage," he muttered, voice cracking. "Conspiracy. She set me up." My chest heaved, but I steadied it. "I didn't need to set you up. You built your own noose with your words." His hand shook as he pointed at me. "You'll regret this." I stepped closer, close enough to see the sweat bead along his brow. "I've already lived regret. Now it's your turn." The board chair finally spoke, voice heavy. Enough! We can't ignore these testimonies. The manager's breath came ragged. His arrogance collapsed into desperation. You can't do this to me. I gave this place everything, I whispered, my voice raw but firm. And in return, you took from me what should never be yours, my dignity. That's why you'll lose it all. Silence fell again, but it wasn't complicit this time. It was verdict. I turned to leave, my hands trembling, my heart breaking, and healing in the same beat. Behind me, I heard his chair scrape violently, his voice ragged. Don't walk out on me! Don't! The door shut on his collapse, his pleas muffled into nothing. For the first time since the lobby, I breathed, without chains around my chest. But deep down, I knew the reckoning wasn't finished yet. The collapse was only the beginning of his fall. The ballroom buzzed with polished laughter when I walked in, the hotel hosting yet another event to drown its scandal in champagne. My heart thundered, but my steps stayed steady. I had been invited by allies who whispered that the governor himself would attend. Tonight I would not be silent. The manager's eyes found me instantly. His smirk returned, thinner now, forced. He moved toward me, voice dripping venom. You don't belong here, not again. I inhaled slowly, letting the fury steady me. You've told me that before, and every time you say it, you carve your own grave deeper. Gasps fluttered around us. He chuckled, feigning calm. You thrive on drama. You want to ruin us, but this is my house, my rules. I stepped closer, my voice low but sharp. Your house is built on silence, and tonight it crumbles. He waved at the crowd, his tone rising. See how she twists. Things? She's unstable, dangerous. She wants to tear down what decent people built. I clenched my fists, nails digging into skin. Decent? You humiliated me in front of a lobby full of witnesses. You sneered, you spat your words, and now you beg them to forget. But forgetting is no longer an option. A murmur rippled. Some averted their eyes, others leaned in, uneasy. He snapped, voice trembling. You're nothing but trouble. No one important believes you. And then a voice from the entrance cut the air like a blade. If this is how you treat the daughter of a CEO, I fear how you treat the powerless. Every head turned. The governor strode in, his presence heavier than the chandeliers above. My chest heaved, relief and rage colliding inside me. The manager stammered, face paling. Governor, this is a misunderstanding. The governor's gaze sliced through him. I've heard enough to know it is not. He turned to me, his voice softer. Do you wish to speak? My throat tightened, but words surged, unstoppable. He told me I didn't belong. He made my humanity a question. He turned silence into complicity and lies into his shield. I swallowed, voice trembling into steel. You called me less than human. Today I call myself free. The room hushed, every eye pinned between us. The manager's voice cracked, desperation spilling. She's twisting it. She's out to destroy me. Governor, you must see. I see clearly. The governor cut him off, his voice firm. Your words condemn you more than hers ever could. A woman in the crowd whispered. I heard it too. In the lobby. Another man nodded, voice breaking. So did I. My chest swelled, tears burning but refusing to fall. The silence that once betrayed me now bent toward truth. The manager's face collapsed, his arrogance dissolving into panic. Please, you can't let this ruin me. I've served this hotel faithfully. The governor raised a hand. Faithful? Service is not measured in years but in decency, and yours has been weighed and found wanting. The manager sank against the table, his hands trembling. You don't understand. This will destroy me. I stepped closer, my voice low but unyielding. No. You destroyed yourself the moment you looked at me and decided I was less." He buried his face in his hands, the smirk gone forever, replaced by the hollow sound of a man unraveling. The governor turned to the board and the crowd. "This institution must decide what it stands for, silence or justice. But know this, silence will no longer shield you." Applause broke, tentative at first, then rising like a dam cracking open. I stood in the center, trembling, but steady. For the first time since that lobby humiliation, I felt weight lift, as though the marble floor beneath me had finally shifted in my favor. The manager's broken voice echoed faintly. "I never meant I didn't think," I whispered, almost to myself, but loud enough for him to hear. "That's the problem. You never thought I was human enough to matter. Now the world knows you were wrong." The ballroom roared with voices, some condemning, some relieved, but none silent. The reckoning had come, and in the governor's words and my own, I had found justice spoken aloud. The storm of the ballroom still echoed in my bones when I finally sat across from my father. His eyes held me steady, though I could see the grief buried deep behind his pride. My voice trembled first. They tried to erase me with silence. They thought humiliation would break me. He reached across the table, his hand warm on mine. "And yet you rose higher. Your strength is the legacy I dreamed of." My chest tightened. Strength wasn't what I felt that night. I felt stripped, raw, hollow. His voice lowered. "True strength is born there, in the hollow places where dignity is tested." I blinked back tears. But it shouldn't always be on us to prove we belong. Why do we have to bleed words just to be seen? He exhaled, heavy, shaking his head. "Because power fears truth. And truth only lives when someone speaks it, no matter the cost." Silence sat with us for a long beat. My hand shook against his, but I didn't let go. Finally, I whispered, "Justice isn't handed. It's spoken, fought, lived. Every day. In every silence we break." He squeezed tighter. "And you broke it. Not just for yourself. For others who will walk into lobbies like that one and know they're not alone." I closed my eyes, memory flooding. His smirk in the lobby, the gasps, the crowd that turned away. Then the governor's voice cutting through. The first stone in their wall of silence finally shattered. "I thought silence would bury me," I murmured. But it buried him instead. My father's lips curved into something soft, almost weary. "That is the echo of justice. Not loud, not fast, but certain." I let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. I still feel the sting, though. Every word. Every whisper. "Scars remind us of battles survived," he whispered. "Not chains, not wounds. Just proof that you endured." I swallowed hard, my chest trembling. "I wanted to be more than endured. I wanted to be free, and you are," he said, his voice steady. "Freedom isn't their permission. It's your refusal to bow." My tears finally slipped, burning warm tracks. "Then let this be the last time I cry for them." His thumb brushed across my knuckles. "Cry as long as you need, but let each tear water the ground for something stronger to grow." I nodded. Slowly, the ache in my chest no longer sharp, but heavy, grounded. I thought of Naomi, of the journalist, of the stranger who first raised her cup to me in the cafe. I thought of the employees who finally broke their silence. I thought of the manager's voice cracking when his smirk collapsed into desperation. And then I thought of my own voice, calm and unshaken in the end. I whispered to my father, to myself, to everyone who would ever hear me. They tried to tell me I was less than human, but I walked out whole. That is enough. He leaned back, his eyes glistening. "More than enough," The room fell quiet, but this silence was different. Not complicit, not cruel, just space. Space where dignity breathed again. I stood, my legs steady beneath me, and looked toward the door. It isn't over, but I am no longer afraid. My father's voice followed as I reached for the handle. And that, my daughter, is what it means to win. The door closed softly behind me, not with finality, but with release. For the first time I felt light, dignity intact, justice spoken, silence broken. Weeks passed, yet the echoes of that night still rippled through the city. The hotel's once polished name now stained headlines. Manager dismissed after racism scandal. Protesters marched outside its doors. Guests canceled reservations. Silence no longer shielded them. At a community center, I sat on a folding chair surrounded by younger faces, their eyes carrying both fire and fear. They leaned in as though my scars held a map. One student hesitated, then whispered, "They told me I was too loud, that I should be grateful just to be let in the room." My chest tightened. I saw myself in her trembling hands. I leaned forward, my voice steady. "Your voice is the one they fear most. Never silence it." Another student spoke, voice cracked. "But when I speak, they laugh. They call me angry." I exhaled, slow, the memory of that smirk slicing through me again. "They called me angry too. They called me trouble. But anger is not weakness. It is evidence that injustice touched you. Don't hide it. Shape it." Murmurs stirred. A boy in the back asked, "But what if they don't believe us?" My throat tightened, but I held their gaze. "They may not. Many didn't believe me. But truth doesn't need their permission to exist. Speak it anyway." The room fell quiet, the weight of their silence heavy, but no longer complicit. Expectant. I swallowed hard. Justice isn't quick. It isn't clean. It isn't handed. It's spoken, fought, lived. Every time you refuse to bow, you claim ground they tried to take. A girl with tears brimming whispered, "So we can win?" I reached across the table, my hand trembling but steady as it covered hers. "You already win every time you refuse to shrink. The rest is only a matter of time." Their eyes widened, some shining with tears, some blazing with resolve. I leaned back, breath catching. In their faces, I saw what silence had tried to steal from me. Dignity, courage, the audacity to exist unapologetically. I thought of the hotel's marble lobby, its chandeliers gleaming while my humanity was questioned. Beneath them, I thought of the smirk that made my stomach twist, of the whispers that cut deeper than shouts. And then I thought of how silence cracked. One voice, then another, until truth thundered louder than lies. I whispered to myself, but the room heard. Their comfort ended where my dignity began. The students sat straighter. One murmured, "We won't be quiet anymore." I nodded, my chest swelling, the ache inside finally softening into something lighter. Good. Because the world doesn't change when we whisper. It changes when we refuse to be silent. Outside, the hum of protest chants drifted through the window, voices steady, unafraid. I rose, my reflection in the glass showing not the broken woman from the lobby, but someone whole, carrying scars like banners. The students followed me out, their voices rising, sharp and unashamed. And in their chorus, I finally heard the sound of justice, not polished, not perfect, but alive, symbolic, unstoppable, mine.